Hey guys, welcome back to the Collector Arthouse. Arthouse! Alright, so really excited here and kind of bittersweet, right? Because we have 4 Precon decks. So again, I just want to open and extend my sincere gratitude to Eric, Simon, the team at Sorcery Contested Realm, Eric's Curiosa. And really exciting. So we opened 2 of the decks. I think it was the Avatar of Earth and the Avatar of Air, right? So today we're going to do the Avatar of Fire. I think that'll be cool to do next. So we're halfway home. We opened 2. We got 2 to go, and yeah, again, just wanted to say thank you guys for sharing this with me, giving me this opportunity to share with the community. I think with the fire ones, I want to start sharing those a little bit and giving back to the community a bit. So I'll be looking for opportunities to mail those, at least a few cards here and there to various folks, let you get a taste of Alpha, kind of share the wealth, so to speak, and yeah, try to bridge the gap until fulfillment here. So the latest in sorcery news is that we think shipping has maybe started or is pretty imminent. And then, we got to get through customs and logistics and whatnot. And again, hopefully within a month or two, we'll all have product. It'll be readily available. A lot of alpha getting out there. And then the latest word from the company at this point, as I'm filming this on March 25th, 2023, is that beta is targeted for September. So the company, at least some of the employees, are going to be at Gen Con, and there'll be a organized play event at Gen Con. And the first place prize will be the Crown of the Victor, original painting by Elvira Shakarova. So she's one of the emerging, one of the very great, one of the best artists in sorcery, in my opinion. I think she's really emerging as a front runner and just totally in the league of everybody else. It's an all star lineup, but Elvira's holding her own. She's done a lot of significant work for Alpha, and I'm really excited to see what is to come for Arthurian Legends. We saw in the reveal that I did with her, it was more of like a discussion interview type thing, live event, and she was able to reveal one of her paintings from the Arthurian Legends set. So it's one of the Knights, which is going to be a special chase card for that set, and there's more to come on that front. She couldn't say exactly how many, but Eric kind of alluded to that will be a special chase insert card in one of several, we think, of knights that she is painting with a very intricate, beautiful gilded border for Arthurian Legends. But without further ado, I want to go to the overhead cam here, so zoom that out. And per usual, we have the amazing Melissa Benson Alpha playmat. So a lot of you guys have been saying in Discord, official Sorcery Discord, and the Collector Arthouse Discord, that you ordered this one. Good move, because it is so far my favorite of the ones I've seen. Behind it is the Mirror Realm by Liz Danforth, and that one is really incredible as well. And since it's so large, it's very practical and fun. So we got the Alpha Precon decks. We'll give it a little zoom here so we get a good look at the cards. And let's get into it. So as I say, we did Earth, we did Air, and today we're in for a special treat with the gorgeous Fire deck. And look at that amazing artwork by Severin. Maybe like a year ago on the Sorcery Contested Realm community group, I ran a poll on what is everybody's favorite avatar, just from an artwork perspective. The meta is kind of taken early form, I guess, with early adopters, and each of these elemental avatars have been played. This is kind of like the introductory pre-constructed decks. Interesting fact that came across in the Discord recently is that these artworks in beta will be replaced by a different avatar artwork. Eric's been calling them the hooded avatars, and those will not only have different artwork, but he also said they will be functionally different, which I thought was pretty interesting and kind of bittersweet, to be honest. So I think from a collector perspective, that makes these elemental avatar paintings and cards very special, because they'll be unique to Alpha and retired. Won't even make it to Beta, which is the subsequent kind of like extension print of Alpha. So they'll be retired in glorious fashion. But since they'll be functionally different, it makes you wonder, will they still be viable as a game piece? Or are they taking the game in a different direction with these hooded avatars being functionally different and potentially making these avatars obsolete? I'm not sure. There is some chatter that, they could for revised. I mean, we think that it's going to go alpha, beta, Arthurian Legends, and then revised in terms of set sequencing. So in theory, they could reprint these in revised if they are still functionally viable, and the other extensions, build upon the effect, the game piece effect of each of these avatars. But nevertheless, that'll be something very interesting to watch. I'm very curious to see, because these were kind of like the face of the game in a way. For the top pledgers, there were 4 top pledgers. They were called the well, Avatar of the Realm pledge tier, right? And they got the original painting, one for each of the elemental avatars, right? So that was a very special painting, beautiful oil on canvas piece by Severin Pinot, the great French artist. It's done the Kythera mechanism, and I own the original painting for that beauty. It was once called Predestination, so I'm super proud to own that, and feel very fortunate that it's such a great, gorgeous artwork and awesome card. Now we don't know what the game mechanic is for the Kythera mechanism yet. It was called Predestination, and we saw the game effect on that from an early card, but it's never been in the Tabletop Simulator, and it is not in the latest version of Tabletop Simulator, and therefore we don't have the latest version of the card. So that is one of the surprises, and one of the 35 cards or so that are yet to be announced for the alpha debut. So we'll find out, when the booster boxes are out there. All right, so here we go. We got the gorgeous elemental avatar pre-constructed fire deck, the third in the set of 4. All right, quick look at the box packaging. So on the back of each of these, it says, this one's, it's got a separate line for each of the elements. So it says, unleash the desire and destruction of fire. Contains a starter deck for a single player, 1 avatar, 16 atlas, and 36 spellbook cards. So something interesting about this game is that there's no prescribed amount of atlas cards and spell cards you can have in your decks. And you play with like 2 decks, a spell deck and an atlas deck, and you draw from one of those on each of your turns. And it kind of resolves the mana screw issue that happens with Magic and some other games, right? It makes it a little more balanced, a little more strategic in that sense. So it's a very interesting concept. So this one has more spells than avatars. And again, as I take out the packaging, it's interesting on these. The seal is very loose. See how loose that is? It just flaked like right off. It wasn't quite glued shut. It's just already open. So I don't know. This content creator box, so to speak, I guess you'd call it, it was a little different in that the box itself did not have the added booster box that they're adding into the ones that everyone will be receiving for the alpha fulfillment. So it's kind of like a custom constructed box, and maybe that's why it might be a little different than what we might expect in the alpha fulfillment. So that was one finding, and maybe they'll tighten up the seal on these. I believe they said that there would also be a foam insert to make the box a little more tighter, so the cards aren't like, loose inside the box. It's a thicker box, right? You could see here the difference. Maybe better like this, that you can fit many more cards in here. So, it'll make for a nice storage piece, or, a deck box for you to carry around. All right, so ground rules, again, if you haven't seen my other 2 videos that I did before this, I did not memorize what is in each of these decks. And that's for a reason. I want to be surprised. I want to go through slowly, take my time, enjoy it, and really just kind of discovered anew. I've seen a lot of the sample cards, and that's been super fun and exciting. But these alpha cards are on another level in terms of quality. We talked in the previous videos how the centering is much better, much more accurate. The color values are tremendous, much more true to the paintings, and I've seen over 30 paintings, original paintings for Sorcery. I own a few myself. I've sold many through my artist representation services and community consignment, and I've been to a few art shows and things, so I've seen like a ton of paintings and been able to handle a bunch of them. And I can notice firsthand, based on that experience, that there's been tremendous quality improvement from sample cards to alpha. All right, so without further ado, the Avatar of Fire. So your Avatar of Desire and Destruction, tap, player draw a sight, and also tap this turn, fire sights in your hands are also fireballs. So really cool with that fireball effect. We saw that with, the fireball by Jeff Easley is a great artwork. So maybe we'll see that in here. Ooh, right off the bat, the Ancient Dragon. So I talk about this in many of my videos. One of the first cards I fell in love with Sorcery. My very favorite from Lindsay Crumet. Lindsay's a great artist. I believe she did some work for Path of Exile. She does a lot of digital work, but these, of course, every card in Sorcery Contested Realm is hand painted. So she's a multi-faceted, multi-talented artist. She does digital sculpting, she does digital painting, and she does traditional painting. And look how incredible that is. I think, having all those skills tremendously benefits her. She has a Patreon where she talks about her process, and she could leverage her sculpting and her digital creation to really play with like concepts, shape, form, composition, lighting, those types of things, and that really results in a gorgeous finished product. And some of the dragons, I think she's like a specialist in dragons, I think it's fair to say. A lot of her dragon work is great. I think everything she did for Sorcery was oil on canvas. And probably my second one favorite from her is Seasoned Sellsword. Is another beautiful artwork, and I did a behind the art feature on that on collectorarthouse.com if you guys want to go hear that very nice story of what inspired that artwork. All right, so the Ancient Dragon, it feels to me kind of like the Shivan Dragon of Sorcery. It's got the airborne effect. It's an elite dragon of breathtaking majesty. And the typeline text is just phenomenal in this game. It's so awesome. It really enhances and pairs beautifully with the artwork. Breathtaking majesty, and just the posture and the pose of this dragon on the crest of this rock just kind of portrays that perfectly. So you tap to deal 4 damage to each other. Deal 4 damage to each other unit at target location nearby. So it's a fire-breathing dragon. I love it. That's really nice. All right, so the Colicky Dragonettes. The very famous Jeff Easley. So Eric was going for that early 90s vibe, and who better than one of the extreme talents from Dungeons & Dragons era and early Magic and that type of thing, Jeff Easley, an icon in the fantasy industry. You got to have it. And he's done several great artworks. Here's another one from Lindsay Crumet, Incinerate. And I actually sold this original painting as well, so I've seen this one firsthand in person. And man, it's a great artwork. Or actually, no, it wasn't this one. It was the Palaberry Bats. But you can see, like, one thing I noticed on these cards, and you'll notice it better in person. I'll try to get close to the camera, but you could sometimes tell the texture quality of the original painting. So when I'm looking at this close up, and it's not coming across perfectly on camera, but you can look at that and you could see and feel the texture of the canvas. This is oil on canvas, and it's just very apparent when you see it in person. And the blues and the blacks were so beautifully enhanced by Eric. These cards look amazing. The edge-to-edge border, like every card feels like a full art. I mean, this is only an ordinary rarity card, guys, so it's supposed to be like the equivalent of a common in another game, but it just looks really great. Yeah, kudos to you, Eric, man. You put the time in and the work, and really enhance the quality and the feel of these cards. And there's the one we were talking about, the Firebolts by Jeff Easley. Really iconic looking card. This is the card that synergizes with the Avatar effect. And that's a great one. So Jeff's got a lot of fire influence. Here's another one by Jeff Easley, the Heat Ray. Ordinary magic of focused fire. Shoot a piercing projectile. Deal 2 damage to 1 unit at each location along its path. All right, so here, I think this one is very exemplary of Eric's top-down design approach. So you start with the name, right? Heat Ray. And then it says ordinary magic of focused fire. So per the illustration, the guy's focusing the heat ray in a specific direction, right? And what is it doing? It shoots a piercing projectile. So the heat ray pierces through the skeleton, breaking it apart, And it's actually a few skeletons here, you know? It cuts through this guy and a couple of his buddies behind him and just sprays them with heat and blasts them away, right? It does 2 damage to 1 unit at each location along its path, right? So it can hit, deal 2 damage to 1 unit at each location along its path. So it fires in a certain direction and it can do 2 damage to multiple minions in that path. So it's just like a perfect design all the way from top to bottom, from the name to the illustration, the typeline text, and the gameplay mechanic. Beautiful design. Amazing. So coherent. All right, and the fireball. Doug Kovacs. This is a really cool one by Doug. Exceptional magic of deflagrant destruction. And the just the tempo or pentamic parameter or whatever the hell of the typeline text and the flavor text, really well done. From what I understand, that's Nick Reynolds' specialty. He's one of the co-creators of Sorcery, very well read and educated individual, really smart guy. So he's put a lot of time and effort into some of these things with typeline text and flavor text, and it just seems so crisp and perfectly fitting for each card. All right, so you get a couple fireballs. Oh, fireballs. Minor Explosion, man. So I sold this one for Matthias. He's one of the artists that I work with, and I feel tremendously honored to work with such a great artist. The disciple of Dan Seagrave, as I like to say, his hero and inspiration. So I did a great interview with Matthias. You could go find it on collectorarthouse.com. It's a written Q&A style interview. And this Minor Explosion, I sold it for him, which means I handled it. It's been through the art house here in my hands. I was able to videotape it. I think I got some shorts and some videos about it out there. But just seeing this one in person, it's such an amazing throwback. It reminds you of Disintegrate from Anson Maddox, who also Anson did a painting for this game. But it's like a modern version of that. You know, Anson did his Disintegrate piece in 30 minutes, as the legend goes, and it was kind of like a sponge style painting. So it was a very quick and dirty painting, and it looks really iconic and epic. But you know, Matthias had a different take. He actually didn't know about Disintegrate. He's never seen that card until I showed it to him. I was like, hey man, any chance like Eric told you to do a painting like this? Meaning Anson's Disintegrate. And he's like, no. He's like, I've never seen that before. So it's really cool, really organic from his own vision. And just the detail in this, seeing this in person just blows you away. And it's very large. He does it on this thick artboard. So it feels real like quality and metal style, you know. He does a lot of like metal album covers. He's a lead singer in a band himself. And just tremendous talent, like amazing artist. Unbelievable. I tell him he's as good as Dan, and he won't accept that. He says Dan's the master. But I think he's on his way, certainly. All right, Major Explosion. The Art of Tony Sudo. Phenomenal. So as I said this in a prior video, he was out of painting for about 15 years, out of doing formal commissions for any kind of games or anything. But he's done a lot of work for Magic the Gathering. That was kind of his claim to fame. Worked at TSR before that, so I think he worked on D&D and things like that. But yeah, his artwork, the Major Explosion, you know, we just saw Minor Explosion. This is Major Explosion. So the effect on this one's a little different. Going back to the Minor Explosion, let's compare. So on the Minor Explosion, that deals 3 damage to each unit at target location up to 2 steps away. Now the Major Explosion, this has the super flavorful splash damage effect, as you can see by the little grid illustration here, where it does 7 at the point of location, and then the splash damage around that, you know, 5 at the neighboring locations, and then the cardinal directions, 3 damage, right? So target a location up to 2 steps away, deal damage to each unit at locations in the area of effect. So a tremendous blast of elite magic. So it's an elite rarity. Tony Sudo art, man, always spot on. He always hides little Easter eggs in his artwork, so I'm trying to study this one close. I'll have to circle back on it. But take a look at Tony's artwork. He's the master of Easter eggs. And he does that for a purpose, because he wants you to look and he wants you to appreciate his artwork and find those details. That's something Tony's told me in his discussions. All right, Wildfire. All right, so Matthias Frisk again. This is a really cool one. I think I did a behind the art feature at collectorarthouse.com on this one as well. And something I'm noticing right away is that the blues and the night sky, that looks really, really nice on this one. So this was inspired by another piece. I talk about it in the behind the art feature from Matthias. He kind of gave me the story on this one and several of his other pieces between the interview and then some of the behind the art features that I wrote. And another cool card, you know, beautiful lighting in this one. You see kind of like it looks really organic, you know, like what a brush fire or wildfire might look like, where you have the intensity of the flames and then the smoke plumes just look really gorgeous. And I wish you're gonna really appreciate this one when you see this in person, guys. It's a lot more vibrant than is coming across on camera. That really pops. All right, Blaze. So this is a really cool one by Elvira Shakarova, and I won't spoil it for you. If you guys want a secret, be careful on the full art page at collectorarthouse.com. There's a really awesome Easter egg behind this one. And I sold this one for Elvira as well. So I have a video where I show like 6 to 8 paintings that I sold for Elvira. It's a homage to her work. And you see what's under this text box, under the game mechanic box. Excuse me. And it's really cool. It's really fun. You know, she's got a great sense of humor, great style. And yeah, again, I'll leave it at that. You could go discover it if you want to, guys, but that's a really cool artwork. All right, the Quarrelsome Kobolds. And if I remember correctly, this one's by Alan Pollock. And he says that it is inspired by the fight outbreak that happened in, was it at the British Parliament or something like that? These guys, like these politicians, like got into like actually a physical fist fight. So that's where he got the inspiration for these kobolds, where these guys are just mauling and brawling like in the courtroom, you know? Really hilarious. So as it says, exceptional goblins raise a ruckus. At the end of your turn, quarrelsome kobolds strike themselves or another target adjacent unit. So they're just mosh pitting, slamming up against each other. Hilarious. All right. We got a beautiful Melissa Benson artwork. So we kind of cracked the code on this one. As you can see, there's a lot of symbology in this one. Melissa Benson is a very well-read artist and has fun with her artwork and sometimes likes to embed Easter eggs of her own and symbols that have meaning, right? So my buddy Vincent in France cracked the code on this one. He did some research and he figured out what these symbols mean. And if you go to the Sorcery Contested Realm community Facebook group, we had a talk about that ages ago, months ago. Just search for Sacred Scarabs. You could find the details on that. Melissa Benson and almost all of the sorcery artists are in that group. We're really spoiled to have them participate in that great community. And she chimed in. She said, like, they got good job, man. You got it right. So he cracked the code, and it's legit. So go discover that one. It's a lot of fun. All right, the Ral Dromedary, man. This one is just super popular. Everybody loves the Dromedary. Eric's told some stories about this one. How it's just like a very simple, indifferent, ordinary little camel just strolling through the desert, right? But you could strap the Doomsday device to his back, and then that's how you get the party started. So I did some crossover concepts with Kaio that we sold to a few folks with the camel carrying the Doomsday device. And a couple twists on that, you know? So keep a lookout on that for artist proof cards. There might be some fun concepts that are coming with that one. But yeah, real popular card. It says an ordinary and superbly different beast. And this is one, again, that Eric often cites as one that, it's a simple beast, simple card, but he was proud to kind of like how the artwork came out and how it just still feels special, even though it's just like an ordinary, simple minion in the game. All right, the Pit Vipers. A terrifying tangle of ordinary beasts. So beautiful artwork by Mikhail Nagypal. He's into snakes. He sent me an image recently of a snake that he told me he used as inspiration for some of his works. And they're super vibrant and colorful. He also did several frog art pieces, towers, landscape pieces for Atlas sites. He's very diverse, multi-talented artist. He lives in Slovakia. He does a lot of museum shows, a lot of publications, and yeah, incredible artist, man. He could do so much, and he really adds a lot to the game. He's got a lot of diverse art in the game. All right, one of the legends here, guys, Jeff Menges, the Ogre Goons. I recently did a live interview with Jeff. You could go find that on the Collector Arthouse channel, and we talked about this one. He showed this one. I think did he show the original painting? He at least had the sketch, and I think he might have had the original as well. And he definitely had the sketches because he showed us like a few iterations of that, how he went back and forth with Eric. At first, Jeff didn't really like it, but then he thought it was a little too goofy, ironically. But then Eric wanted to play on that. And he thought that was really cool. And it ends up being a really fun card. And it says, Ordinary Ogres Blunder About. The sample card version of this is really hilarious, too. I think I still have one of those. And it's just like the mechanic is just that they can't help but attack people. And it says something about them being goons, which is really funny in a type line text. But it's really cool. You got the three guys. This guy's kind of charging in, and this guy's carrying a big old rock, and this guy's just smashing people. Love that one by Jeff. All right, Francesca Berald, another very significant artist in Sorcery Contested Realms debut. She did the packaging art on the packs, the back of the spellbook and atlas cards, and a lot of very significant pieces in this game. This is an exceptional. It's the Clamor of Harpies. So exceptional monsters of ardent desire. Genesis, teleport target weaker minion to this location. Clamor of Harpies may strike it. All right, so really cool kind of mid-range card. You know, it costs about 4 mana and 1 fire threshold to cast. And yeah, she's a very diverse artist. You know, she's a cartographer as well, so she does a ton of map art for many games. But you could see like how multi-talented she is, doing all types of different illustrations. Just the color texture quality of her pieces, the composition, the multiple elements, the depth, just amazing artist. So versatile, so great. All right, Alan Pollock. Now this is one of my favorites from Alan. It was featured in an introductory video that they did for Sorcery, kind of like an animated video that's very well done by a guy named Chase, I guess is the one who did the video editing for that. And man, it's just looks so polished. The reptile, like all the detail, the colors. This is another one you're gonna really appreciate in person, and Eric absolutely nailed in terms of printing with the Chinese printer. I mean, the quality of these cards, guys, is just so great. It feels like holding a painting, very authentic, and the colors are just very vibrant and beautiful. Ooh, Gadu. Man, so Gadu, man, somehow we didn't see like any of his cards in sample card form. I don't know if they printed them as samples. Maybe Eric was holding out for the real deal, but man, this one is vibrant and cool looking. Gadu's got a style of his own. It says Elite Demons Run Amok. So these are the bold demons of Adam. Yeah, really cool, man. He's got his style, just you know it when you see it. You know it's Gadu, very unique. All right. One of my favorite artists. You guys know I love Andrea Modesti, the Petrosian Cavalry. We'll see if there's any others. I don't know how many fire cards he had, but that's kind of interesting. All right, the Rimland Nomads. Now, this is very interesting. I talked about this in another video recently. I believe in our live event, I think Elvira told us that this used to be called the Fireland Nomads. And you see some kind of fire elements down here hidden by the text box mechanic. But on the back of the Atlas card, there used to be, and let's see if I have an Atlas handy. Let's go back to the Atlas cards. And did we hit an Atlas yet? I don't know. I'm kind of just enjoying it. All right, I guess maybe we'll hold that thought until we get there. These are all spell cards. So there should be 16 Atlas cards, I think is what we read on the box. So when we get to it, I'll get to it. But there's a region on the Atlas card, and they were labeled in the sample cards. These regions, there was Unland, Midland, Highlands, and Firelands, right? So this was called the Firelands Nomads. And that was later changed, and now in the alpha print, they removed those regions from the back, the Atlas back. So it's pretty interesting. You know, there's been a lot of name change, and maybe Eric wants to take it in a more versatile direction where he's not pigeonholed by those names. And as we saw those names, it seemed early on that seemed to be like a cohesive concept he was kind of playing towards. There was cards like Jesse Pilkis's Lord of Unland, and you know, there was the Midland Mercenaries by Jeff Menges, and the name of that card changed. There was the Fireland Nomads, and this is now the Rimland Nomads. So I think Eric did not want to be constrained by specific regions or a specific cohesive lore. He wants the game experience to come across in the gameplay. And I think that's a theme he talked about in the written Q&A interview that we did, so you could go read that as well. But he wants, you know, the players to create their own experience, and I think that's going to manifest itself in the direction of the new avatars that we're going to see for beta as well. There's going to be these new hooded avatars, that are functionally different and have different artwork that replace the elemental avatars that we see in Alpha. So it'll be interesting to see where he takes that. The Wayfaring Pilgrim. So this is a card, Jeff told me this is super popular. I know there's a gentleman in France who always asks me, do you ever see the sample card for this one? Still have not, my friend. But here it is. And the Alpha, hopefully you bought some Alpha Precon decks because this is his favorite artwork. It just looks like a classic Menges art, and it has meaning to people and it's fun. All right, Doug Kovacs. I think he only has a few cards in the game, at least a few that we've seen revealed. And Doug's a great artist. He's done Magic as well. And yeah, this is a really cool one. Just the colors of it look really cool. Doomsday Prophet. You got this madman. It's a unique, right? So a unique mortal prognosticates the end. So he's kind of like in the streets preaching mass hysteria. The end is coming. And actually, the flavor text says the end is nigh. So again, top-down design, guys. The name, the illustration, the type line text, the game mechanic, and the flavor text. Also tight and cohesive. Beautiful design. Really well done. Nearby units take double damage except from strikes. The world is ending and people are just taking damage all over the place. All right, Sandworm. Vincent Pompetti. Great Italian. Living in France. Wonderful guy. Super nice, super creative, has tons of publications. The pace that he pops out work is just mind-blowing. Him and Francesca Berald, every day. It's like every day on their social media, I see them just saying, hey, I did this, I did that, I'm going to this show. They're super productive, and everything they do is really cool. So Sandworm, that's a cool one. All right, Vasily Ermolev from Russia. Wills of the Wisp. Harkens back to an old name from Magic, but completely different take. Vasily's got his own style. This one looks very interesting and different. It says exceptional spirits of fascination and folly. Whenever Wills of the Wisp are attacked, they may teleport to a nearby void or location to evade the attack. All right, so the teleport mechanic, something really cool that you get with a realm-based concept. Infernal Legion, Melissa Benson. Yeah, so this is the one I was talking about a few videos back. I always remember back. Maybe I repeat myself too much. But, I said, wow, this one's pretty dark for you, Melissa. You always got really beautiful, picturesque artwork, real feel-good art, that you love to display. And this one, she's like, yeah, this is probably one of the darker ones I've done. But I got it in me. So she's got it in her to do whatever you want to commission her to do. So you got these maniacal looking skeletons in the back, and this one looks almost like he's like laughing himself to death, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm misinterpreting. So it says elite undead wreathed in hellfire. So he's going down in agony. Maybe that's it. Looks like he's at the dentist in the chair about to take the pain. At the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to each other adjacent unit. Grave Candelabra and Dance Macabre. I probably shouldn't have gone down this path. This is like I don't know, some other language, Latin maybe. I don't know. The Damned Parade and Ghastly Mob. So it must be a quote from somewhere. You guys know I'm not too well read. I'm more of a video type of guy. All right, the Drums of Doom. Really cool one by Alan Pollock. Again, it's another elite, so you can kind of see the just like the density of elites and uniques. These are great value in these precon decks. You're really going to get a lot of banger cards that are really important in the meta, and a good intro experience with these precons. So elite instruments of mass percussion. Mass percussion, right? Like mass destruction. Damage dealt to minions nearby is lethal. Wow, so that's a pretty serious card there. An elite. Really cool. All right, here we go. So we finally found an Atlas card. The Red Desert. And so we got the Red Desert, the Remote Desert. Again, I sold this painting recently, so I got to see this one in person. Nice, large, beautiful canvas painting by Aranja Art. Real name, Rafaela Ketch. And let's take a moment here to get back to the Atlas, like I said. So, in these alpha precons, one way you're going to know, people always ask me, how do you know a sample from an alpha precon? Well, one way for all the Atlas cards, if you go to the back, they don't show the regions. So this was Midland, this was Highlands, over here somewhere was Firelands. Those names are gone. It's now a generic map. And I asked Francesca Berald about what was the inspiration for the map. I forget. I think I forget if she said there was like a generic reference. I thought it might have been like a reference to a region in Path of Exile. Maybe I wanted to believe that. I thought it'd be a cool connection, but I don't believe that was the case. But nevertheless, those names are gone now, and you just have the generic map without the region names. And yeah, looks like here's all the we're getting down to all the Atlas site cards packed near the end, right? So Shifting Sands, this is a really beautiful artwork by Vasily yet again in his unique style. And there's a Shifting Sands version that Kyle Calazans did. So it makes you wonder, maybe we'll see that in beta. Not a lot of people know this, but there was different versions of Shifting Sands. So Kyle did that. We don't know if it's going to make it into the game or not, but it's really well done artwork. So I hope Eric does use it. Kyle's a great landscape artist. And there is also different versions of the rivers. So Matt Thames ended up with the rivers in Alpha, but Marta Molina also did a set of rivers. And what am I missing? The towers, I think, as far as I know, may be unique to Mikhail. But it's kind of interesting that these were commissioned from various artists, and it makes you wonder, maybe that's going to be one of the wrinkles in beta or like a future revised reprint where maybe these originals will be retired. So hold on to those, guys. You know, Alpha is going to be special and unique, I think. We'll see how it unfolds in future sets, but a little tidbit there for you. All right, Standing Stones. So some interesting history on this one. Gorgeous, gorgeous artwork by Kyle Calazans yet again. And this used to be called Stonehenge, right? It's been changed to Standing Stones. And in the recent interview I did, if you go to the live section on the Collector Arthouse YouTube channel, you'll find that Jeff Menges revealed a new Stonehenge, or the Stonehenge, since this is no longer Stonehenge, that's going to be in Arthurian Legends. And he did a very different take on that. It was kind of like an up close vantage point on the stones. And he describes very articulately how he did that to make the stones look very big and heavy and powerful. And he believes that maybe there'll be some synergies in that in the gameplay mechanic once we see that. And I would say that's likely to be the case when you consider the top-down design approach, like we've been talking about here. It'll really be interesting to see what form that manifests in the Arthurian Legends set. So it's really cool that Jeff got to do that reveal on my channel. Thank you so much, Jeff and Eric, to affording us that opportunity. It's really special. We've been able to do a few reveals across the Collector Arthouse media platform, so I'm very humbled and grateful for that opportunity. Thank you, guys. All right, Jesse Pilkus, a unique sight of Doomed Foretold. So Jesse, man, yeah, he's a unique creature. This guy, Jesse. He's very talented. And again, another guy that's done a lot of digital in his professional career, but he's got the chops for traditional as well. Everything for Sorcery is traditional. And yeah, this is a unique site of Doom Foretold. Sacrifice Vesuvius. Each unit occupying nearby site takes 3 damage. So very cool and flavorful, like Mount Vesuvius in Sicily, Italy. The volcano erupts, and it just spews out 3 damage all over the realm. Man, you don't got to play the game to appreciate the game mechanics, let me tell you. All right, River of Flame. A unique site with incendiary intent. Fire spellcaster. And look at that. You know it's Ian Miller right away, right? He's always got these dreary, morbid, like skulls and faces in his artwork. And it just blended into the frame. Just absorbed by the flames, right? So incendiary intent. Man, that one really pops. The detail, he does a lot of pen and ink, which allows him to do a lot of fine detail in his artwork. Phenomenal job by Ian Miller. Really great. And the last card, super popular. The great Margaret Organ Keene. You know, most famous card, I believe, is Lion's Eye Diamond. A lot of you guys know that one. For Sorcery, I personally love Observatory from her. It's another Atlas site card. But this cornerstone is really exceptional as well. And she's very well known for her patterned art. You know, and this is another one you guys got to see in person to fully appreciate. But like the tiling patterns that you see throughout is just so intricate and detailed. It gives us so much character. You know, the symbology of the blocks in the corner of the card and kind of like off kilter, you know, in the cornerstone image. And then there's a lot of like interesting dynamic going on. I guess you got to kind of really study it and come up with your own interpretation, which is really great. A lot of these artists are masterful storytellers. That's one of the beautiful things about art. You know, you're learning about the artist, their personal lives and experiences influence their artwork, and they're wonderful storytellers. You know, so you get their vision portrayed in an illustration, and sometimes it's kind of obscured in such a way that the viewer can come up with their own interpretation from their own life experiences and really relate to it on a personal level. And that's what I love about art, and you know, art enthusiasts in general. You know, we kind of gravitate to the artwork that speaks to us and our own life experiences, and we connect with the artist based on, you know, what they're trying to tell us, and trying to figure that out is a lot of fun. All right, guys. So that's it. That brings us to the end of the Fire Elemental deck. Man, it's a long one, 40 minutes. Hopefully you were entertained. I appreciate anyone that's stuck in there till the end. So we have one more deck to go. I believe it's the Avatar of Water. So that'll be a fun one. I want to take my time with these last couple of videos, really take my time and appreciate it, tell you any stories and insights that I can. Hopefully gives you a little different take than some of the other content creators. That's the beauty of kind of like sharing the wealth across many different platforms. Everyone has their own unique perspectives and takes and interest in the game for whatever reasons. So my thing is art and the history of the game, trying to be a historian and kind of share what I can about the artists and the early development process. And just really honored to have this opportunity. Thank you again, Eric and team. Really appreciated. And until next time, hang out for the Avatar of Water. Check out my links in the description. Please join all the communities. It's a lot of fun. I'm always sharing information and updates. So I hope you stay tuned, and I hope you spread the word and help grow this great community. All right, take care, everybody. Enjoy yourself.